Hi, everyone. How are you? Welcome back to another episode of Door to Door. I'm Virginia Stanley, Director of Library Marketing at HarperCollins. My trusty colleagues, Christopher Connolly. Say hi, Chris, with the palm tree behind you.
Hey everyone, good to see you. Nice and warm here.
And Lainey.
Hi, no palm trees, but clearing my mind.
Just we have walls. Lainey and I have walls. Well, we're so happy to have you all here today. We hope that you and yours are well wherever you are. And we are talking romance today. What the world needs now is love, sweet love, and we got plenty of it. And with us today is Pam Jaffe, Senior Director of Publicity and Brand Development for Avon Books, an all-around superstar. And she knows all there is to know about love, baby, love.
Thanks, Virginia.
Welcome.
That is the best intro I've ever gotten.
So Pam is going to talk to us about a lot of Avon books that appeared recently on the Oprah Magazine Best Romance Books for 2020. First, we have a very special interview with our author, Talia Hibbert. Who is with us in spirit, but not on video because she's feeling a little bit under the weather, but she didn't want to miss today. And so here she is to talk to us and to Pam about her books about romance. Her first book, Get a Life, Chloe Brown, made the library reads list. That was in November of 2019. And in June, Take a Hint, DANI BROWN will be out. So I'm going to turn it over to Pam. We'll talk to Talia about her books.
Hello, everyone. This is Pam Jaffe, broadcasting live from my guest bedroom, because where else would I be right now other than broadcasting live from my guest bedroom, while various Jaffes are scattered around the house in different places. I'm really excited to be here. Thank you to Virginia and the team for inviting me onto Library Love Fest once again. I get this maybe once a year, a chance to come on and talk about the thing that I love best, which is romance. And Virginia kind of surprised me this week because an amazing thing happened. Oprah Magazine over the weekend posted an article about the 21, romance novels that are set to be the best of 2020. And Oprah Magazine, I mean, we've gotten some great press lately, but Oprah Magazine posted this. So it was really exciting. Virginia immediately, as soon as I sent word out to the sales force that this great article happened and sell these books. Virginia's like, you need to come and talk to the librarians. I'm like, cool, I'm there. But the exciting thing is that one of those best of books is Take a Hint, DANI BROWN, which is the follow-up to Get a Life, Chloe Brown, which you all fell in love with and really helped make last year. Chloe Brown is definitely a story that's very near and dear to Talia's heart. I'm interested to get behind DANI BROWN's story with Talia because it's very different. DANI BROWN is a brainiac. She's a pink-haired brainiac. She's as curvy as I am, which makes me happy. She gets stuck in an elevator and she is rescued by a security guard. So this is the first of the 2 elevator books I'm going to talk to you about today. And it's really interesting. Zaf is the security guard who rescues her, and he's kind of holds a torch for our brainiac, but he's got a secret past and he's carrying some really, really heavy luggage. So at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Talia and maybe just give us a quick description, since the librarians are going to be the ones who tell everybody about DANI BROWN. Tell us about the book.
Okay. Hi, Pam. Hi, everyone. I'm really excited to be on here and to have the opportunity to talk about this book because I absolutely love it. And like you said, it is quite different to Get a Life, Chloe Brown. It's definitely its own story. So what I would say about the book, first of all, is that it's full of fun and classic rom-com tropes. You have a fake relationship, you have the friends to lovers trope, they make a sex deal. Am I allowed to say that on here?
You are.
Fabulous, fantastic.
I mean, the sex deal is sizzling hot. The chemistry of this book is off the charts.
Yeah, that's one thing they've definitely got going for them. These two characters, they each have a lot of luggage that convinces them that even though they have this chemistry and they have this friendship and they are literally faking the perfect relationship for the gram, which is all for a good cause long term, they manage to convince themselves that despite all these things, they could never have the happily ever after that Zaf wants and that DANI, the heroine, thinks she isn't capable of. So it's definitely a book about personal growth, and it's also the kind of book that has you like swooning, but also being like, will you two get it together and see what's right in front of you? So it was a lot of fun to write. I'm hoping it will be fun to read as well.
And you definitely do, like you did with Chloe's story, you hit all the inclusive notes. So maybe you want to talk a little bit about DANI and her relationships and why she might be a little hesitant to kind of go down that path with Zaf until, of course, you know, the goddess tells her, you know, take a hint, DANI, take a hint.
Yeah. So DANI has had a difficult romantic past because she is very focused on work. She has a lot of serious goals. She sees her path very clearly. And she's been in relationships where people didn't appreciate that about her, and they took it as an excuse to cheat on her or mistreat her in other ways because, well, you're too work focused and you don't care enough about us, so I'm going to treat you like dirt. So for that reason, she decides that she can't do romantic relationships and that she is all about work and her sex life is just something on the side that she has to deal with. But she, you know, when the book starts, she has kind of had that belief rocked already because she was sleeping with a close friend of hers. And then her friend wanted to take the relationship further, and DANI was like, no, I'm sorry, I can't, because I can't do this. And the fallout from that is what kind of starts her on a bit of a different path. And so that's how she opens herself up to the entire situation with Zaf, the hero. And there are a couple of things about DANI's relationships that were important for me. The first thing is that she's bisexual and that one of her most important relationships is with a woman. And that was important representation for me because it's something that I relate to and it's something that I want to see more of. I already see a lot of it in romance, but I feel like you can never have too much representation. So I was like, yeah, more of that. And the second thing is this idea that if women don't put romance first on their list, then they don't deserve to have it at all. You know, this idea of punishing a woman for prioritizing her career when a man would probably be more desirable because of it. So it was a couple of different factors that I tried to work in with DANI.
And sorry for the silence, Talia. I think we lost Pam ever so briefly. I'm sure she'll be back.
We have a question for you, Talia.
Oh.
Which Brown sister do you relate to the most?
Oh, this is actually a really difficult question because, you know, there are little bits of all of them that I've probably taken from my own life, just elements, because you're supposed to write what you know, right? So in Get a Life, Chloe Brown, Chloe has a chronic illness and she's dealing with her world shrinking, and I relate to that because of my experience with chronic illness and disability. But then with DANI Brown, she kind of wrestles with imposter syndrome and kind of being a bit of a workaholic, and that's something I've dealt with as well. So I feel like my answer could vary on different days depending on my mood. But right now I definitely feel like I'm closer to DANI, probably because I just spent a really long time working on her.
Oh my God.
Nice. Oh, hi.
I'm back. Did you get any of that? Because I just had to ask like a 20-minute question.
Oh God. Oh dear. Sadly.
Okay. Before I drop out again. I want to talk a little bit about DANI and Zaf and the friends to lovers trope. It is really an exceptional buildup that you have there with DANI, who gets her tea every day, like unsweetened at the coffee shop. She brings Zaf a coffee. They're not really close friends, but she brings him a coffee and he plucks a homemade power bar out of his pocket for her. And it turns out in a really sweet scene later on that they know a lot more about each other, even not having been intimate friends, but they have some sort of connection. And I wanted to hear about writing that.
Yeah, that was really fun because I really love the friends to lovers trope. And I've written some books where they're, best friends and they've known each other for years and there's all this tension that's built up. But I thought it would be really fun to kind of have a friendship that's less intense so that when it does reveal that really deep romantic connection, it's more of a surprise.
Right.
Friends, but they have some sort of connection. And I wanted to hear about writing that.
Sorry, I'm trying to shut that
Yeah,
down.
that was really fun because I really love.
Sorry, keep going.
Yeah, so I definitely wanted it to start from, because, I feel like friendship can mean so many things. So I wanted it to be a mutual respect and a familiarity. But then I also wanted them to not have realized how deep it ran because of circumstances, so that later when they were pushed together by kind of their fake relationship, they did stumble across all these deeper connections between them and they were both taken by surprise.
I loved it. I just loved it. I thought it rang so true. Sorry, everyone just saw my sweatshirt that I wore just for today. But I have 2 more questions for you, and then we'll let you go and, languish in the darkness where you are. We have 2 books this year that have relationships predicated on going viral and on the deep societal issues. What happens with going viral and what an invasion of privacy it is. And it seems very strange to have a loving relationship grow out of that. So I am much older than you are. I can't imagine dating in this new internet age. How does it happen? Like, how does what happened to DANI and Zaf happen? And then, you're not embarrassed by it. You're not shocked by it. You don't fall into a hole. You decide to embrace this fake romance.
Well, I think DANI and Zaf had 2 very different reactions to it because Zaf has anxiety, and his anxiety is definitely triggered by, a video of him being splashed all over the internet. So for him, it was really about the motivation of what he could do with that video, how he could take it further and leverage virality to promote something that really mattered to him, which is his nonprofit foundation to help young boys understand their mental health. So for Zaf, I feel like all that was keeping him from slipping into the abyss over going viral was just the need to keep doing good work. But for DANI, she kind of copes with it a little bit because her grandmother was famous and she knows that some things can't be taken too seriously. But she does have some moments of vulnerability over it. And, for her age, she's really not on social media very much. And she definitely avoids it throughout the book. But from my perspective, I feel like because it's such a, when you are kind of put all over the internet for people to see, it does make you more vulnerable. And I think the 2 of them being made vulnerable together is kind of a foundation for them to get closer much faster. So I did like that.
It was so good. It just worked and resonated on so many different levels. But actually, you led into my last question for you, and that is to talk a little bit about Zaf, who I said earlier carries baggage, and you don't have to really talk about what happened to him. But I want to talk about, he's fighting as a security guard. He's a former, semi-famous rugby player. Something happened. He left the pitch, and he's founded this group, Tackle It. And I just thought Tackle It was such a great concept for charity. And I just wanted you to talk about that for a little bit. What, how that came to you.
Yeah, well, the inspiration to write about charity actually came from my mum, who has worked with various nonprofits for a long time. She's a teacher and she, whenever she can, she offers education in different ways. So because of the work that she's done, I have been able to meet so many charitable founders who are working in their communities and hear such a range of stories. It seems like so many people, they have something terrible happen to them and they manage to turn it into something so wonderful just by virtue of thinking, I want to help everyone else who's experienced this, or I don't want this to happen to anyone else if I can prevent it. So I would say that meeting people like that really helped me dream up this character of Zaf, who has dealt with and is still dealing with so much, but what really drives him is making sure that no one else ever has to deal with the same thing on their own.
I love it. I love it. It was this entire book is so readable and so heartwarming and just like so hug worthy, except it's incandescently hot, so don't hug it. It's like it sizzles and burns. But I wanted to toss it to Chris and see if there are any questions that came in from the librarians on Facebook.
We did share that one before when we lost you, Pam. So we got
Okay.
a question in. Yeah.
You got another librarian who was saying very supportive of having the bisexual theme, very important and much appreciated.
Oh, well, I'm glad they feel that way. That's nice to hear from people.
Definitely. And, you know, I hope with here, you know, at Avon that we're able to keep publishing into the LGBTQ plus space. But you brought such important representation to our list, and I do want to thank you for that. You write beautiful books, and I'm just so excited that we get to call you part of our family now.
Well, thank you so much. It's great to be part of the family. I really love working with Avon. You guys are so nice, and it's so, I keep saying nice, but it applies.
We are nice. We try to be nice. I mean, your editor cannot be nice if you don't make deadline, but other than that, she's a sweetheart. But okay, if that's that, then Talia, I can let you go with huge thanks for joining us today. And I hope you have a great night and a cup of tea and some relaxation time. And tomorrow you're back on Library Love Fest in a different fashion. So maybe the team wants to talk about that.
Yeah, Lainey, take it away.
We're so excited. I just put it up on Instagram, so it's officially out there. And we're going to do one version of our door-to-door program is going to be author writing tours. So where they write, what's on their desk, what are they doing? And so your inaugural episode is you tomorrow. So you're going to be on Instagram all day.
Yes, I'm very excited. So I hope everyone comes to see my giant desk and my disorganized writing space. It's going to be so much fun.
Are you gonna have framed pictures of Pam Jaffe all over your desk?
Yes.
No,
absolutely.
not so much. Maybe Jess Lyons, who's her publicist, and the two of them have a great relationship.
Nice.
Yeah. So be sure to follow us on Instagram and follow Talia on Instagram so you can see everything tomorrow.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much. Feel better, and really, congratulations on your books and just your outreach and the love that librarians have for you. It's really so wonderful, and what the characters that you bring to the page and into our hearts is much appreciated. So you take good care, feel better, and we look forward to seeing you tomorrow at your desk.
Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you,
Bye.
Talia.
Bye.
Bye.
And literally a quick shout out to the librarians, because it's because of you that so much word of mouth for both of these books have happened. And the amount of, oh gosh, my dog has just entered the guest room. So if you hear barking, it's not me. It is not me. Anyway, but it is because of you, and it's because of the librarians that her popularity keeps growing and growing. So huge thanks from the Avon family. And with that, I want to talk about Oprah. Like, hello, thank you to the Oprah editorial team for starting to incorporate more and more romance in the past couple months. And then over the weekend to stumble upon an article of like the best forthcoming 2020 romances, and such a majority of them are Avon books. And there's actually a couple of other house books in there as well, which I'm sure Virginia will hop into the conversation. But I thought I'd give you a little run through of the key titles that they covered in the article. So the first one is If I Never Met You by Vari. Yes, Vari. I know it looks like Mari, but it's Vari McFarlane, and it's Welsh. So Chris, if you want to put up the cover, it's absolutely adorable.
I love this book so much.
I love this book so much. I love this book so much. And I love Vari. She's such a sweetheart. She's British, like Talia. This book, it's not a rom-com. It looks like a rom-com. It's not a rom-com. It's a cross between a rom-com, a romance, women's fiction, because it's heartbreakingly beautiful. It starts out with a couple who've been together but not married for 10 years, Lori and Dan, and they're just a few months away from making the decision to take it to the next level. Perhaps get married, definitely have kids. And Dan runs off scared. He literally just scampers right out of that relationship. He's like, I can't handle it. I can't handle it. Leaving Lori with the mortgage and all the baggage and, you know, having to split up their friends and all that horror that comes with the divorce, except without the paperwork. And they work together, which I have to say sucks. Can you imagine? Just sucks. So a couple weeks later, it turns out that one of their colleagues and Dan are seeing each other. And not only that, the colleague and Dan are pregnant, and Lori loses it. At the same time, there's a narrative going following Jamie, who's like, you know, the office Lothario. He dates all the hottest young girls. He's been warned away from the boss's daughter, you know, but he wants to advance. And he's been told, you gotta get serious about your life before we can bring you to the next level here. So they get stuck in an elevator by chance. This is my second elevator book of the list, which is funny. And they strike a deal that they're going to have a fake relationship. So it's really interesting. And I would say the majority of the story that really resonated for me and probably for Lainey was in Lori's growth. You know, Dan got a clue, you know, he tried to get Lori back, but she's like, you suck. Jamie grew up, but Lori really took a personal journey, and she had been like, I don't even know what the word is, sublimating herself to Dan for 10 years. But it was great to see her blossom, and it was great to see Jamie give her the support and eventually the love she needed to get to the next level she needed to be at. So it's a beautiful read. I would say just keep Bari at top of list for you guys to take, you know, to shelve and to recommend. The next one is Never Kiss a Duke by Megan Frampton. This is a mass market historical romance from Avon, and it's the first in Megan's Dukes of Hazzard series. So I love an EW quote on this because it really just sums it up. The novel is predicated on choosing a life you've chosen and earned. So this is what Sarah McLean would call competency porn. So your main male character is a disinherited duke. He just doesn't know what to do to himself, you know, now that he doesn't have a dukedom, now that he doesn't have a fortune at his command. What is he going to make of his life? He stumbles upon a former lady who's now the very successful proprietress of a gambling den. It's really smart. Everything Megan writes is smart. It's really swoony. It's female forward. You know, it's as real life as you can get in a historical romance that's completely escapist. There you go. Next up, Tessa Bailey, Love Her or Lose Her. And a shout out to Tessa, who set this Hot and Hammered series very close to where I grew up in Port Jefferson, New York. So if anyone's on Long Island, Port Jefferson's this gorgeous little harborside town. And, you know, the series does revolve, once again, competency porn. The characters that we've met so far, the men work for a contracting company. So Dominic and Rosie are the couple in question here. It's really interesting in that they're married. They're a young married couple. They're high school sweethearts. But they've become more and more distant. And Rosie will come home from work. Dominic just grunts at her. It's not like the loving relationship they once had. And literally, like, once a week, they have scalding Tessa Bailey type sex, which is all the best thing in the world. But she's like, I'm done. I'm walking out. I'm leaving you. And Dominic's like, well, what? You're leaving me? So they end up having to do therapy together, and really weird hippie pillows on the floor therapy that's hard for Dominic to deal with, but he does. And he's forced to get to know Rosie again and learn to love her. Learn to love her more, I think is the term. So there's a really sweet twist at the end, very Gift of the Magi-esque, but it also is a turning point for Dominic because he's got some issues and he's got some control freak issues that he's got to work his way through. And he has to, in giving something of himself and not telling his wife that he gave this, it almost breaks the relationship. It's beautiful, it's sexy, it's fun. Nowhere near as serious. I mean, it's Tessa Bailey, so get ready for a romp. Next up is The Worst Best Man by Mia Sosa. And I love this book, and anyone who loves really great own voices will love this book. The heroine on their wedding day, it's horrible. A wedding planner like is left at the altar, and his best man, his brother, is the one who has to tell her that he's also scarpered off. We've seen that a couple times in this little list down of titles. Speed forward a few years later, after she's decided that she hates her ex-fiance, she hates his brother, wants nothing to do with them. She's up for a really essential piece of business, and she's forced to partner with one of them in a competition to win the business. So she chooses Max over her ex. And it really becomes a fun competition. They get to know each other. They get stuck at a couples retreat and have to go through very fun, like couples retreat type stuff. But what's interesting is that what Mia writes into the character and comes through in a lot of the interviews she's given is that it's hard for women of color to be successful in business and show emotion and show that they can be unstable. And this is part of Carolina's issue, is that she's rock solid, she's hard, she's glass. Like, you know, you could cut yourself on Carolina, and Max has to help her like realize her worth and realize her worth. I think his love helps her accept her worth. She knows what she's worth, but you know, she's got to open herself to her family and accept their love for her for who she is, not who she thinks they want her to be. So it's another growth story. And I think that's what's important about the rom-coms, is that they are very much growth stories. They're very different than chick lit of yore. But it's a very fun contemporary. It's getting a lot of critical attention, and I know the librarians have been huge supporters already, so thank you very much. Next up on the list, Chasing Cassandra. We're going on to historicals. This is the 6th and final Ravenel by one of our favorite authors, Lisa Kleypas. Who does not love Lisa Kleypas? This is, of course, Cassandra Ravenel's story. Severin is the hero, and you've seen him throughout the other books. He is, in old-fashioned terms, a magnate. Like, he owns half of England, rail lines, shipping, manufacturing businesses. He's got his hands in everything, and he is worth oodles of money. So he acquires things. He loves beautiful things. He wants them. He wants to possess them. He wants to own them, and then he wants to just put them away so no one else can have them. He sees Cassandra, and he wants Cassandra. Her entire family knows exactly what his habit is with beautiful things. They're like, no, you cannot have Cassandra. So he not only has to win Cassandra, he's got to win over the Ravenels to his cause. It's really cool in that it takes place in Victorian era England, which is really where the start of charitable patronage got its boost. And a lot of the stories in Tom saying to Cassandra is like, think big. If you have my fortune, you can do great things for people. And so it's a lovely, kind, giving Lisa Kleypas read. So it's a perfect Lisa Kleypas read. Next on the list, I am very sorry to tell you, is being delayed. It's How to Catch a Queen by Alyssa Cole. It's the book that everybody who's listening to this broadcast wants, but it's now going on sale December 1st, 2020. It's the #1 book in Alyssa's new Runaway Royal series. So you've got an arranged marriage, a strong-willed runaway queen, and the king who will do anything to get her back. This is the only book I haven't read here because, of course, it's not in yet. But it's a modern fairy tale with a diverse own voices bent to it. Of course, the arranged marriage trope is always popular. But what's interesting is that you've got the strong king character in Sanyu, and in Shanti, you've got a queen that the people won't accept. And she's got great ideas for the country, but nobody wants to hear. And that's why she, has to recede from the scene. And he's got to build his country's confidence in her and her confidence in being the leader that she was born to be. It will be beautiful when we read it. We've talked about Take a Hint, DANI BROWN. So I don't need to tell you about that because Talia told you everything. But the final book of Avon's on the list. is Daring and the Duke. That is by Sarah MacLean. That is what I am currently reading late at night when I cannot sleep, because who can sleep? And it is the third and final Bare Knuckles Bastard book in Sarah's series. And like the two other books in the series, it's darker. Everything about this book is heartfelt, and it harkened me back to 2016 and the election, when Sarah was writing a book, and the morning after the election results, like, she had to just throw the book away and rewrite it, because she could not at that point in life write an irredeemable hero. So here she is in the challenge of her lifetime as a romance author, writing an irredeemable hero. Because if you've read the other two books in the series, you know that this is Grace and Ewan's tale. He is awful. He's awful. Like, he is the ultimate irredeemable hero. He has tried to kill his brothers. He's almost killed one of their wives. He's the Mad Duke. He's the Mad Duke. And it's interesting is Grace actually was born to the dukedom and had to flee it. Her father was, a little crazy. So she ended up making a life for herself in Covent Garden with her two brothers and Devil and Wit. She ends up as the proprietress of a bordello for women. And it's really, sexy and hot and empowered in the typical Sarah MacLean way, but also she's answering the call for more inclusion in historical romance by bringing in, bisexual characters and important people of color into the story as pivotal players in the story. What I loved really was one of the opening scenes where you've got this horrible man who's going to be the anti-hero hero, and the heroine literally puts on her boxing tape, tapes up her fist, beats him to a pulp, and sends him out the door. And I was like, that is so Sarah MacLean. That's so great. I can't wait to keep reading and see what happens to this guy. So that's my list of Oprah recommended romances. And if anyone has questions, I'm happy to share them. Answer them.
That was amazing.
Yeah.
You are this treasure trove of romance and love information. That's fabulous.
I read too much. Like all your librarians, I read too much.
We have so
But
many.
I love our books.
Well,
For
okay.
Alissa Cole.
lots of fans.
Lots
It
of
was
fans.
so sweet.
There is a Harlequin book on that list that I don't know if one of you wants to talk about, but it's the J.C. Lee with the Korean American hero and heroine. Hang on, I'm going to look it up really quickly. I'm going to look it up. You
Okay.
talk about romance for a second, and I will give it a plug.
I will
Well,
say I'm really happy that we actually had multiple of those authors that you talked about on the podcast in one form or another. So that's really exciting. There's a lot of things to dive deep in. And most of our library reads winners, which Chris did such a good job, Vanna Whiting, of the library reads runners, we've been able to call them and congratulate them. So go check out the podcast for other romance, a romance palooza down that rabbit hole. But so that was exciting too. Everyone here was like, check, we've had them.
Now, you guys are great. You're so supportive of the romance program, and I thank you on behalf of the entire Avon team. The library team does so much for us and our authors. The representation you give us at the library shows, and just love in webinars and door-to-doors like these. So thank you.
Yeah. Oh, well, thank you. Yeah, you make our jobs fun, because you guys, you just do such wonderful books, and the authors are so lovely. And the bottom line is that they are librarians are such engaged fans, as obviously their patrons are. I mean, if you could see the comments scrolling the whole time you were talking, it's really so wonderful. I mean, such big fans. So yeah, it's been fun for us. And Chris, that was very cool, the Vanna White. Very good, Lainey. That's very nice. But the calling the authors, regardless of what books they have written, but talking to the romance authors is really cool when they've won a spot on the top 10. on library reads. And it's, I mean, Lainey came up with that idea, and it's a really cool one. So if you ever want to just listen to authors, some of them know ahead of time. Most are like, it's just they're just so honored to make that list. It's very cool. Definitely check that out. If you go to Library Love Fest, there's the podcast little tile on the right hand side. You can listen to authors talk about what libraries mean to them, and why making that list is so meaningful to them, because they're a big part of their lives. So
when we talked to Vari McFarlane, who we were just saying, I love all of her books. Both of her books made the library reads list. She's a whole other level. She's great. But Virginia and I had a really great conversation with her about like what romance is and the grander scheme of things. And we got very philosophical for that early in the morning, but she was so nice to talk to. So you can listen to that interview too.
Yeah, that was cool. That was really cool. It went there. It's kind of neat. So,
so she's not as shy as I think she is what you're saying.
I don't know. It just became like this really easy conversation that kind of went in a lot of different directions, which I loved. It was really interesting to
Another great conversation is Stephanie Anderson with Book Ops, when she spoke with Sarah McLean. I think that was your brainchild as well, Lainey. And that's a really long, in-depth, two very bright, like just brilliant people discussing the genre. And it's, whether you're a fan or not, I think it's like a must listen. It's a podcast episode, right, Lainey? It's on
It's Facebook Live, but it's also a podcast.
Yeah. Okay. There you go.
Yeah.
Highly recommend. Well, we'll provide links in the comments for everyone watching on Facebook, so you don't have to go digging too far.
Yeah, Chris, you should put that link in for that video, because it's a good conversation that they had.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was neat.
Yeah.
It was really neat.
And we had an interview with Robin Bradford talking about she's a librarian, talking about just romance and libraries and collection development. And so even, not based on the authors, on the librarian side, like she was really cool to talk to, and what they're looking for and what they're interested in. And so, go check that out too. And while we're here, I might as well say we have an episode with our editors, Nicole Fisher and Elle Keck. They were both on it. So like I said, we have plenty of romance on the podcast.
That was a juggernaut. You talk about that one a little bit, Lainey. You should.
That one was wild, and Pam helped me set it up. So thank you. It was, of course, we had some I wanted to do an editors unedited, but not really necessarily about specific titles. We wanted a few editors to talk about romance and what they're putting out, what they're excited about. And that turned into just like a grander conversation about romance and what they look for when they acquire and where they see it going. And then, which is spilled over into other episodes. And we talked to, a Voyager editor talking about romance and how there's tie-ins. It has just gone on and lived forever. And so once we put that up, it's got over 1,000 listens. Like everyone is just so interested in that. And so, yeah.
Speaking of Voyager and crossovers, the final Jessie Michaela is coming out soon. I don't know if you guys had her to talk about her rollicking sci-fi romances, but they're fabulous. And Chaos Reign is out, May 19th? Más o menos?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Well, here's the thing. And just we're putting this out here. We're live, and we're hoping that this will get lots of shares and views to librarians and patrons, certainly. Look, we're relying more heavily than ever on digital right now, on ebooks, on downloadable audio, on platforms like this, where we can bring somebody like Pam who can sit there and tell us about the list, and then have a wonderful author. And so to libraries everywhere, we are ready, willing, and able to bring this. So, for book clubs, for I think we are looking. You want to look for us? Well, we want to look for you too. So we are very willing to bring ourselves, authors, and wonderful superstars like Pam Jaffe to your library via Zoom. So let us know. write to
Absolutely.
us. Let us know what you're looking for.
I'm always happy to talk about romance.
Yeah, we
Thank you.
know.
I know.
All
And
right,
that's
let's
why you
see
give
the
me time
sweatshirt.
limits.
Listen,
On the
somebody,
sweatshirt.
Jennifer Abel wanted to see your dog. One of our
Where is?
library pals
Oh,
wants to see your
hang
your
on. What do
dog.
we got? Well, first off, Brooklyn is in the corner.
Oh,
I guess Brooklyn's your dog, or are you talking about Brooklyn, New York? Is she frozen?
oh
She
no.
froze.
I think it's a cat. Is it a cat?
Okay, here's the question. Anybody that can figure out what that is, write in and we'll send you a book. We'll send you the next hot romance if you can figure out what Brooklyn really is.
3 out of the 6 animals that are currently in my home.
What is
who are
it?
my
Dog?
office mates. That is not a bear. That is a dog. That is actually a
Dog.
dog.
All right, never mind. Well, you can still write to us and we'll send you some, I don't know, e-romance.
But I cannot give you a view of the foster snake, which is with us as long as the quarantine.
The what?
We have a foster snake.
Really?
We
Okay.
do.
What? Why? Where did you get the snake from?
The snake came via the Rye Nature Center. And yeah, you wanted her. She just is, she's not allowed up here, and yet she just feels no rules right now. The Rye Nature Center was looking for homes for their various animals because, of course, we're down to, mandatory personnel only, and one human cannot take care of all that wildlife. My daughter wants to go to, I don't know, she's going to want to go to school for wildlife biology, conservation sciences. She certainly does love snakes. So when the opportunity came to foster one of their corn snakes for a couple months, I have a corn snake in my house now.
That's pretty cool. I have to say that's pretty cool. That's wonderful. Good for you.
I won't hold it, but it's cute.
Someone
Okay.
says no need to, Jennifer Winberry says no need to see the snake, but thanks for the offer.
I get it. The cat and the dog are much cuter.
Can we end with a pan of your sweatshirt? What does it say? Cooks, coffee. It's frozen again. Pam frozen in time. We'll never know. Look at that face.
I think it says
We'll never know.
books and coffee,
Cliffhanger.
cats,
One more.
and something.
All right. Well, we don't know where Pam is. She's frozen in time somewhere, but thank God that didn't happen while she was talking about the books.
Good still.
Hang
Still
on.
can be so bad usually, and that was a good still.
That was a good still. Yeah. I think
I'm
we're gonna,
typing it out.
we're gonna sign off because I think everybody in the world is using Zoom right now. But thank you,
Oh.
Pam, so much.
Of
Oh,
course.
books, cats, coffee.
Thank you for
and
having
social-
me.
Very nice. Books, cats, coffee, and social justice. That's cool.
Everything you need in life.
That's right. That's right.
So,
Well, listen all, we'll be back on Tuesday with another episode of Door to Door. And thank you for listening. Thanks for chiming in, and be well. Take good care of yourselves and look for the posts, look for the links. We'll send you everything and keep on reading.
Watch
All right.
Instagram tomorrow.
Instagram tomorrow, Talia Hibbert. Thank you, Lainey. Thank you. We'll put the link up there. Okay.
Bye,
Anything
everyone.
else?
Bye.
bye. Thank you so much. This was fun. Anytime you want me, I'm back. I promise.
Okay. Thanks,
Bye,
Pam.
all.
Thank you. Bye. Read romance.
Bye.